All right, let's wrap this lesson video up with move towards the weakest tower. So you see that, or sorry, towards the weakest monster. You'll see that the monsters here all have hit points that are randomly assigned. I want to move towards the one that has the weakest. So let's go for it. I'm going to take my weak tower and I'm going to do the step here. And basically what I want to do is this says fire. I'll say that every 15 steps I want to move towards weakest. And I'm going to make that a script. So every 15 steps it updates. So move towards weakest. Let's write the script in here. Move toward weakest. Now I don't know if I called it exactly the same. Just let me double check here. Move toward weakest. There we go. And let's go into that script. Now this is going to be a lot very similar to fire it closest. The only difference here is we're using the variable instead of the point distance of the monsters like you do with fire it closest. Here we actually use the HP variable that's already tucked inside of every monster. So I'm going to boot ahead here and I'm just going to type some code and save you a little time in the video. And here's our magical code. We're back. And what you notice here is I do something very similar, but this one's actually shorter code. Okay, and it's a bit of a new idea, which is why we threw this one in here. I find out how many there are. If there's 0 monsters, I get out of here. If not, I want to remember the ID of the weakest monster. So I made this variable weak ID. And I'm just going to assume, just to start, that monster 0. So instance find the ID of monster 0 is that weakest monster. Now, the reason the code is shorter here is because you're going to see what I can do down in here. I don't actually have to remember the weakest hit points of the weakest monster because I can just do this. So you'll see what I've done here. Inside my loop, as I'm pulling monsters out and calling them MID, I just get to ask this. Hey, MID, are your hit points less than weak ID's hit points? So I have very simple access to the weakest monster that I'm currently remembering and what their hit points are. Okay, the access is simple just by doing that. And if it is, then the new weakest ID I should be remembering is, hey, weak ID, make yourself equal to the ID of the monster I just pulled out. They have a smaller hit point value. So you'll see there, this routine's even tighter, okay, than the distance one. Now, the last step here is move towards it. So I guess all we have to do here is we could just say something like this. Direction, because remember a tower was called in this. Point, direction, x comma y, and let's go to weak ID's x and weak ID's y. And let's go speed 1. Now, the nice thing here is it will work. Now, we've done this in other lessons earlier on in the course. You'll see that when I actually reach that monster, there may be a little bit of stuttering. So I'll just do a little quick thing here. I'll just say if the point distance between me and weak ID's x and weak ID's y, let's say I get within 5 pixels of it, speed is 0. I stop. If you don't put this code in here, well, you can take it out and see what happens. But you get that weird thing where you're going back and forth on top of that location, right? So it's always nice to have a little, hey, I'm pretty close, stop. Anyways, there's your routine. What was different about this one is we're doing this one based on variables inside the object. And this is what Gamemaker doesn't provide scripts for you to do, which is why it's nice to learn how to use these loops and do this code yourself. Okay, couple lines, powerful. Let's see it work. And let's create a few more here. Oh, I didn't put the tower in. A little bit of a mistake that I seem to do a lot. Let's go to the room, objects. Let's get a weak tower in there, or was it a move tower? I don't even remember where I did this. The move tower. Let's put it right there. Give us a run. And hopefully that was the right type of tower that I coded. And of course it wasn't. So let's go back to the room. Let's put the weak tower in there. Give it a run. This better work. And there we go. So the weakest monster, oh, just became that one. That's where it heads. But now that it's gone, it's detecting this guy over here. Weakest tower. Once it's gone, heads to this one. So you sort of get the idea. It does work. And there you go. Sort of a nice idea. Thanks for watching. Hopefully now you're getting comfortable and seeing the kind of stuff you can do with your loops and lists that you make and lists that Gamemaker makes.